Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rookie Reporters pod. Today, we're crossing the Atlantic and stepping into the biggest night in American football, filled with shoulder pads, halftime spectacles, and a trophy that every kid dreams of lifting. We're talking about Super Bowl 60. 60 editions deep, and somehow it only gets louder. One game, two teams, a season's worth of grit, gambles, and games all goes into 60 minutes that can redefine legacies. From offensive tackles to defensive masterclasses, this is where dynasties are built or broken in front of the entire world. So, to break down the game, the names, and the storylines after the Super Bowl 60, I've got our resident NFL obsessive, Haley. How are you today, Haley?
I'm good. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I cannot wait to get chatting about the NFL. So, just to kick things off, when you talk about the Super Bowl or the NFL, what is it that just you love?
Um, well, I just think it's like such an exciting sport because it really could go either way because there's just so much technical stuff that goes into it. Because it comes down to all the players on the team. It's not just one. They all have to play together. So it really just it makes it so exciting. And it
Yeah.
because the game could come down to the last minute. So like it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and we all know that you're our resident NFL expert here at the Rookie Reporters, but just give us a little bit of the backstory. What makes you the person we turn to when it comes to American football? Maybe it was something you grew up playing, or you're just a lifelong fan.
Well, I've kind of been on and off with watching football, but people might not like this, but I kind of started watching when Taylor Swift started dating Travis Kelce. But throughout the years since then, like my dad's known about it, so I started watching with him, and as I learned more about it, it became more interesting. So now I actually watch it for the sport.
Yeah.
So this year was like this season has been like the first season I like fully watched it and fully understood it. So it's just I love it. And as you know more about it, like it's like, oh, I want to keep li watching. I want to keep learning. It just like is like this is just so fun.
Yeah, I feel like Taylor Swift sort of dating a player really did help get a lot of people, especially young girls, into the
Yeah.
sport. I know when I heard about that, that was when I started kind of thinking, oh, the Chiefs, like, who are they? That's interesting. And
Yeah.
I feel like you have sort of mentioned it, but everyone remembers the moment they really got into the sport and really started liking the NFL. So it might have been a family tradition or a headline you read. So what do you think that moment was for you, if you remember it?
Um, I would say for what year it was when the Bills were in the Super Bowl. Um, because of Daniel Ricciardo. Bringing F1 in here
Of
when Daniel
course.
Ricciardo because I was like, okay, like I kind of know football, but I don't watch it. So like, okay, I'll watch a game or something. I'm like, I'm going for the Bills because of Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
After that, like I started getting into it a lot with my dad. So it's just something he likes and he's watched. So like I was like, okay, yeah, like I'd love to watch this with my dad. So
Yeah.
he's like taught me a lot about it and that he's like the big reason. Big reason for
So
it.
Daniel Ricciardo and Taylor Swift were sort of your
Mhm.
motivators for getting into the NFL.
Pretty much.
And now, looking at this season, this Super Bowl that just happened, we witnessed a defensive masterclass at Levi's Stadium. The
Mhm.
Seahawks held the Patriots scoreless for three straight quarters and took the victory 29-13. Was this more about Seattle's defensive genius, or were the Patriots just not at their best?
Um, Definitely a bit of both, but I definitely think Seattle's defense were just on their game, like top level. Like to keep them scoreless for 3 quarters is just like crazy. Like in a Super
Mm.
Bowl, because you'd want more of a game. Like you want two good teams and you want to see a good game. But I definitely think Seattle's defense just was at the top of their game today that
Yeah.
day.
And you have mentioned, but the Super Bowl is always a team effort. But this year, one player really stood out, Kenneth Walker III. Walker finished with 135 rushing yards in a league that's becoming so pass heavy. How refreshing or maybe surprising was it to see a running back win the Super Bowl MVP?
It was like amazing because most of the time it's gone towards quarterbacks. So seeing someone else win it was just great. And I mean, that was the most rushing yards in almost 30 years at a Super Bowl, which is just like insane. I mean, 30 years is a lot. So
Yeah.
he really, really stood out of everyone.
Yeah, and of course he won most valuable player, but do you think there was anyone else who stood out enough to sort of compete with this, or maybe you think should have won that title?
I definitely think Walker like won it by a mile. Like during the game, me and my dad were like, he's getting MVP. It's just like there's no way. But Jigba, Jackson Smith Jigba, there we go. He he was like in my dad's thoughts, like, oh, he could get it, but he ended up getting injured during the game. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, he's kind of out of it. But and then again, like, you gotta give credit to the quarterbacks because like they're the main part of the team. They're the one making the passes, the calls to the team. Like, you always gotta give credit to them.
Yeah, of course. And we have spent quite a lot of time talking about Seattle's defense, and that's all I'm really seeing on social media right now. But
Mhm.
you can't really talk about this game without looking at the other side of the ball, the Patriots offense, which it had really been so electric all season. It just looked unrecognizable during the Super Bowl, and the scoreboard was pretty brutal. The Patriots only scored in the fourth quarter. So what do you think went wrong with them, especially in the offense?
Yeah, I just think with Drake May being a rookie, the pressure probably got to him a little bit just because, you're like newer to the highest level of football. And then also him having a reported injury, a shoulder injury. So that definitely could have played a part on the quarterback side because that's gonna affect your
Yeah,
throwing a lot.
don't want an injury.
Yeah, but I think for the whole team, like the pressure just could have gone to them,
Yeah.
But the Patriots are also like the top team in all of like football, with the most Super Bowl appearances. So you kind of expect more from them, but they also had one of the easiest schedules of the season. So they weren't prepared to play such a high level defense.
Yeah, and we have to talk about the man that was at the center of the storm for the Patriots, Drake May. It was one of the most bizarre performances in the Super Bowl history. On one
Yeah.
hand, he kind of looked like this young star. He finished second for MVP voting this season, but for the first 45 minutes, it was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Although it was not the best game, Drake May did set an all-time Super Bowl record with 235 passing yards in the fourth quarter alone. However, heading into the final quarter, he had only 60 yards and the Patriots had 0 points. So, do you think this was a case of, as you said, rookie pressure just cracking, or were the Seahawks just too good to beat?
Yeah, I do think it was a bit of pressure, and as they scored in the fourth quarter, you're kind of like, okay, like this is like the end, like this is our last chance, like, we're most likely not gonna win when they're down of like a good amount of points. So it's kind of like I think in the fourth quarter when they scored, like they kind of just like calmed down, they let go, we'll just play like normal, and you see they scored. So I feel like that showed that in the beginning it was like the pressure that they wanted to score, so they were forcing stuff, and it never really worked.
Mm. Did you watch the Super Bowl live, or have you watched it at all?
Like on TV,
Yeah,
I watched
yeah.
it.
Was there ever a moment when you thought maybe the Patriots could get this and could win this, or was it just fully Seahawks demolition?
Yeah. Honestly, in the fourth quarter, me and my dad were like, they could do this. Like, if they continue this, like if they get the ball back now, like they can get it. But then Seattle had scored another touchdown, and we're like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's not happening.
yeah.
But there was a little bit of hope in there.
Yeah, so in the last quarter, it was maybe looking a tiny bit better for the Patriots, but not enough to win. But that sort of late game surge, do you think that proved that Drake May's season ahead is going to be something really, really special and we're going to be seeing a lot more from him, similar to the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl this year?
I definitely think so. I think if, like if he can work out like the pressure and fix things, like learn from his mistakes, like he definitely could be at the top and possibly be back at the Super Bowl with a win one day.
Yeah. And it was, as you said, reported that he took a pain-killing shot for a right shoulder injury just before the game. So, how much do you think that shoulder injury really limited his accuracy, especially in those first three quarters? How much did it just hold him back?
I definitely think it would be a lot. Like, I mean, a shoulder sounds awful, especially with throwing. Like, that definitely would affect how far you could throw it.
Mm,
You start to feel pain. Like, you don't want to push it too far so you're out of the game. But, like, you want to be pushing it so you can try and win the game for your team. So I definitely, it also becomes a mental thing as well. Like, oh, I don't want to push it too much, but I need to push it enough. So I think it definitely has a big effect.
yeah, I think it was definitely very thin ice because on one hand, he could say, I can push it as far as I can, try win the Super Bowl, and then I have sort of rest until the season begins. But then on the other hand, it's if I pushed you far in the first quarter, I can't play for the rest. That ruins it for the
Yeah.
whole team.
Yeah.
But we've kind of talked about the Super Bowl, we've talked about this sort of upcoming season, but last season, this 2026-25 one, we saw some incredible matches this year. We had Bears v Packers, they met in Chicago, but one game, it really stood out as a sort of heavyweight fight. The Week 16 matchup between the Rams and the Seahawks is it's just a classic. It had everything. It had lead changes, a game-winning drive by Sam Darnold, and an incredible comeback by the Seahawks, overcoming a 16-point deficit. In your opinion, was that the moment we knew that Seattle was kind of destined for the Super Bowl?
I definitely think that played a big part. Like it's definitely like this team can win it. Like they proved like they have what it takes.
Mm.
And I mean the 16-point deficit and then winning in overtime is just like that's incredible. Like being down that much in the fourth quarter, like most of the time you would lose hope, like, oh, the other team's gonna win. But they they came back. So
Yeah,
that's really impressive. Like they show like they're not gonna lose hope or motivation. Like they're gonna keep pushing no matter what, which I think is great for a team to have. So I think that played a big part in them winning the Super Bowl. So
yeah. And the sort of comeback that they had in that match, was that something that people were hoping the Patriots would do in the Super Bowl?
I would think so. I think at least Patriots fans were hoping that they would come back like that. But I just feel like a comeback makes the games so much more exciting because it's like, oh, like who's gonna get it? Like they
Yeah.
stop them. Like it just that adds so much more to the games and the sport.
Yeah. And as a fan, when you're watching, do you prefer games that are just like total domination from one team or another? Or do you prefer it being really tight, really close? You have no idea who's going to win until the very end?
I prefer tight games just because it adds so much more excitement.
Mm.
Even if the team I want to win doesn't win, like when they're super close, like it's like okay, that was a good game. Like even if the team I wanted to win didn't win, it's like you
Yeah.
have to appreciate the gameplay because it's just like you don't know and it creates so much like anticipation. It's like, oh, are they gonna make it? Are they gonna get it? And
Yeah.
then like just when they're like blowouts, it's just like okay, like you're kind of just watching to see how much the other team wins by, honestly. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
And usually the Kansas City Chiefs are the kind of villains of the NFL. They're always winning. A lot of people do not want to see them winning. But in 2025, they were kind of a tragedy. Um, Success in this league, as we know, is very, very fragile. And one minute you're sort of gold standard, and the next everything is just going to fall apart. And no team felt that more than the Chiefs this year, who came into the season with four Super Bowl wins under their belt, but they finished with a losing record. And obviously, the Mahomes ACL injury in week 16, it was just kind of the final nail in the coffin. But why was this season just kind of a failure for the Chiefs?
Um, I honestly didn't watch much of the Chiefs games, but I kind of so I
Heard
don't
about
fully know why. Yeah, because
it. Yeah.
I was rooting for other teams, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just it was really interesting when I saw like, oh, like Chiefs are not going to be in the playoffs, which is the first time since 2014 since they've been in the playoffs, which
Mhm.
is insane.
Crazy.
But yeah, it was really surprising to me as I was like I you always expect them to be in the playoffs, you know?
Yeah.
And then go ahead, sorry.
And for a team so big, for a team that's been in the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, they've had such a weak season, but that's clearly sort of an anomaly for them. So do we
Mhm.
think they'll be making a comeback this season, next season, or just very soon?
Yeah, I definitely think they can make a comeback, especially, you know, if their team is like healthy, if Mahomes becomes healthy. The only thing is there are rumors that Travis Kelce could retire. I think that could be a big thing in the team, like, you know, how they feel, how the team does without him if he does retire. So I think
Yeah.
in that area that could play a big part. But if Mahomes is healthy, I definitely think they can make a comeback.
Hmm. How likely do you think it is that Travis Kelce will retire sort of sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I've like thought about this because like, you know, he's engaged to Taylor
Yeah.
now. It's like, what are they trying to do with their life? Because like, you know, Taylor's busy. I feel like always. He's always doing her thing. So
Yeah.
it's like, are they both trying to settle down together, you know, or are they find still continuing their own lives like that? So I think it could be a 50-50. Like, you know, I think it's up to Taylor almost if she
Yeah.
whatever she has planned.
Yeah, 100%. And looking back at kind of history, it really shows it's incredibly hard to get back to the kind of mountaintop with only 8 teams ever becoming back-to-back Super Bowl champions. And Seattle, they definitely have a target on their back now because they're the reigning champions. So, do you think their dominant performance this year kind of makes them the very clear favorites for the Super Bowl in Los Angeles? Or do you think we'll be seeing a new champion or a returning one?
Um, well, I think, you know, most people would pick like Seattle as the favorite just because they've won. So it'd be kind of the automatic favorite. But as again, like it's very hard to get back and especially to win back to back. So I don't think they'll win again. Um, trying to think of who have won the Super Bowl before, but
Quite a few. We've had the Chiefs,
yeah.
obviously Seahawks.
Y- Yeah. I feel like we'll have like a returning champion at the
Hmm.
Super Bowl.
What about, okay, I'm just going to throw this out there because I watched the cheerleaders Netflix show.
Mhm.
What about the Dallas Cowboys? Do you think they'll be coming back anytime soon?
I think they could. I don't remember the record for the season, but they were second in I forget which one they're in. They're like little conference. They were like second in their category. So I think they could, but like again, I feel like Dallas fans always say like they get let down with them. So they're not necessarily on my list of
Yeah.
making the Super Bowl for the new season.
Yeah. And back to the Seahawks, do you think, even if they don't win, do you think they'll make the Super Bowl next year?
I think there's a good possibility, especially, you know, if they continue having the good defense that they had. And, you know, with, I know the draft is coming up, so I don't know who people are thinking the Seattle's gonna take, but they're obviously the last pick because they were the
Yeah.
winners. So, you know, that could play a big part, like how that new player fits in with the team, how they play, if they get to play. You know,
Yeah.
they don't always get to. But yeah, I think if they continue with their defense, and I mean their offense is really good too.
Yeah.
I think if they continue like that, then they definitely can make it back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and every season has a kind of main character. There's just one team or one player who are dominating the highlights from week one all the way to the Super Bowl. So, looking at the landscape for 2026, is there a team that you think will be a standout star, even if they don't win, just a team that's going to be very, very popular and eye-catching?
Um, I think eye-catching wise, I think the Raiders could because they might be getting Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, who just brought Indiana to winning the college football national championship. And everyone is thinking Raiders are going to pick him up, which I think that'll bring a lot of attention to
Yeah.
that team just because, Mendoza won the national championship for Indiana. So I definitely think that could help them a lot because they had a bit of a rough season. So, I think they'll definitely have Mendoza play.
Yeah.
So I think that'll bring a lot of eyes to that team and that player.
And you said you have mentioned a player, but do you think there are any other players that you think could be really standing out next season?
Um,
Or not, it might just be a kind of repeat of this year, the same players standing out, catching eyes, getting attention.
yeah, I think now Kenneth Walker III, like I think he'll start having more eyes on him after winning the MVP. Like seeing like, oh, like he can do this. So I
Yeah.
think he'll still have a lot of eyes on him. Um, but yeah, I feel like everyone else is kind of will be like the same.
Yeah, just floating along,
Yeah,
staying
kind of
steady.
see how the season goes, and
Yeah.
then people will pick on. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you aren't a football fan, it's very likely you're watching for those 13 minutes at half time. Bad Bunny turned Levi Stadium into the world's biggest dance floor and he just broke the internet. He brought out Lady Gaga for a salsa-inspired version of Die With a Smile. He had Pedro Pascal and Cardi B making appearances. So, what did you think about the halftime show?
I think it was good. Like, the message was great. Like, to bring everyone together like that. And it definitely brought in a lot of fans, from everywhere. Because he speaks
Yeah.
Spanish. That's the only thing is just, I didn't understand it because I don't speak Spanish, which
Yeah.
is for a lot of football fans because it's a huge American sport. So not gonna be it's gonna be mostly English speakers.
Yeah.
But I still think like the performance was good, the message was great, so it was good overall.
Yeah, and I think having such a big stage, having a Puerto Rican artist, it brings lots and lots of eyes to the sport. And we've
Yeah.
talked about the stats and the players, but there's kind of a bigger story happening off the field. And this year's Super Bowl reached a record 137 million viewers. People from all over the world were tuning in, myself included. What's very fascinating is that many of the fans watching have never really played or seen American football in their lives and might not really fully understand it yet, but they tuned in anyway. So, do you think the Super Bowl spectacles like the halftime show or the iconic adverts are kind of transcending the sport and becoming global entertainment, or is it the sport itself that's gaining popularity?
Um, I definitely think the halftime show is just huge. Like everyone watches the Super Bowl almost for the halftime show. I mean, I did that growing up. I didn't know anything about football. I was just
Yeah,
there for
it's
the
like
halftime
there's a
show.
concert, but there's a little bit of football going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that could bring in fans to start watching football possibly because if they're sitting there watching the football bef before and after the halftime show, that could bring in fans. But like I feel like it's the same every year. Like people will only tune in to watch the halftime show.
Mm.
So it's the halftime show is almost like halftime show and then football. So
Yeah.
it's like, but I, yeah.
Yeah. And we saw kind of a big crossover year this year with Formula One and the Super
Hmm.
Bowl. Cadillac revealed their livery in the middle of the Super Bowl. So what do you think about that? What do you think about them sort of combining themselves with the NFL?
I think that was really cool personally as a Cadillac fan and an
Yeah.
NFL fan. Like it just was so cool. But kind of like being an American team and putting an ad in such a huge American sport, I think is really amazing because in America, in the US, like F1's not very big.
Mm.
So, getting those ads in American sports, I think is amazing. and
Mm.
especially with the American team, like so many people will know Cadillac. So like, and it's so huge here. So like, I think they're doing a great job in trying to get American fans.
Yeah.
And I'm already a fan of F1, so like,
Mm.
it just made me even more excited.
Yeah, but it's definitely bringing in some more people to both of the sports.
Yeah, both,
Mm.
definitely.
And if someone had just turned on the Super Bowl, decided to watch it because they were like, oh, there's the halftime show, or a few of my favorite celebrities are there, maybe I'll watch it. What would you say to them as a new fan, as a kind of a pre-warning for the season ahead if they were trying to get into it?
Um, Probably, that's a good question.
Just like some
If you're
advice
new,
on how to watch or anything.
yeah, I'd definitely say the penalties will not make sense at first. The
Okay,
penalties will never make sense.
I'll take that
Um,
on board.
yeah, it's always, I feel like they apply the rules sometimes and then other times they don't. So it gets confusing there.
Is it a bit chaotic?
Definitely. I mean, like, but that was a penalty last time, but it's not this time. Like,
Yeah, it's
how?
like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's definitely a big sport that you like need to understand the rules to like enjoy it, because otherwise it's kind of just them throwing around the ball and hoping. So like understanding the rules, like at least like for the most part, understanding who does what, it's that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And I feel like there's been lots of little things that are getting people into the sport. You know, the Chiefs have been gaining popularity. A lot of it's because of Taylor Swift's involvement with Travis Kelce, and it's getting
Mhm.
young people to be fans. We've got the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders show on Netflix, and that's bringing a lot of people into the sport. So I feel like lots and lots of people not from America, people from other places, from Europe, from the UK, like myself, are really, really getting into the sport. So how important do you think it is that more people are really getting into it?
Um, I think it's great and important because like, then you get people from all over the world and they can like put their input into it and then they could start evolving to what's the word?
Like,
Like connect with other countries,
yeah,
like
like unite.
yeah, unite. That's a good, there you go. There's a word for it. I just think like like in Formula One, they're trying to open it up.
Yeah,
Everywhere they're trying to involve America where there's a lot less fans and with Drive to Survive there, like that brought in so many people, myself included.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think football, like NFL trying to do the similar, like the Dallas Cowgirls thing, like people from everywhere can watch
yeah,
Netflix. So
yeah,
like that's gonna help. And then with the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny, a different culture like that, I think is really important into bringing in new fans. And then
yeah,
obviously their main goal is to make money from it. So like that just brings in a lot more money into
yeah,
them, which then
yeah.
also can give better stuff to the fans. So overall, I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's a sport that's very, very popular in one country. It's a one country sport, it's the
Mhm.
national league. Um, and to have a sport like that be enjoyed by fans from all over the world, it's very rare to see because in the UK we have the Premier League. Do you watch that?
I don't. I know about it
Yeah.
obviously, but I don't watch it personally.
Yeah, so it's not very common to see people from other countries enjoying sports that are very singular to one country.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's very interesting on how it's growing popularity.
Yeah.
Um, but before we dive into today's predictions, I have to mention an incredible product that we've been working on behind the scenes that I think everyone listening is going to love, and Haley, I think you'll love it as well. If you're someone who spends as much time reading as you do watching sport, you need to check out the Rookie Reporters bookmarks. These are not just plain old bookmarks, they're 100% handmade by our team. We've designed them all around sport. We've got some Formula One designs, we've got football designs, and you can choose whatever. They're very stylish. They're a way to show love for your favorite athletes while you're powering through your latest read. And the best part is, it's not just cool merch because every single penny earned from these sales goes directly back to the rookie reporters. And your support in purchasing them will help us maintain and run our website, produce high quality content, and keep our community growing. And if you go on our website, you can see loads of articles. Hayley, you've written quite a few. You've done lots of content. Very grateful. We love it. So head to our website, therookiereporters.com, and you can browse the whole collection or you can request a custom design. And we've also got something very exciting coming this way. The Rookie Reporters are hosting an exclusive Q&A with Christian Hugill on the 27th of February, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. If you want to secure your spot and you want to submit a question to one of the sharpest voices in the paddock and get an insight into F1 journalism, grab your ticket on the website now. The spaces are limited, so do not wait around. Hayley, we have a very solid lineup of football designs ready to go, or soccer in your case. But if you could sort of call the shots and pick any NFL team or player to be the face of our next bookmark, who would it be and why?
For team, I would pick Dolphins because I live in Florida, very
Yeah,
close to Miami. So it's just like home team, and they played the Hard Rock, which is where F1. I
yeah,
always go back to F1. Like that's my
of
top
course.
my
We
top
love it. We
sport.
love all the different sports here.
Yes. But yeah, Dolphins would be my team. But for player, another Florida team player, but Trevor Lawrence, who plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's their quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I love him and I feel like he's a great player. And I love Jacksonville. So two Florida teams there, but yeah, those would be
yeah.
my pick. Dolphins and Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot for one final quick fire prediction. Now that the Super Bowl 60 is done and dusted, we've seen some wild stuff. So let's see if you can look into the future. Which two teams will complete the lineup for next year's Super Bowl?
So I think Seattle can make it, but I did not pick them as my
Okay.
prediction. I mean, there's a lot of teams I think could, but I'm gonna go Jacksonville, Jaguars, and Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
Like, those
If
are bold predictions, but that's where I'm gonna go.
being a Florida girlie, would you love to see Jaguars v Dolphins?
Yeah, I I think I feel like Jacksonville, they've just at least this past season they were a better team, so I'm putting them above because Dolphins kind of let me down a few times.
A
But I
little
would
bit.
love the Dolphins. Yeah, I would love the Dolphins to be up there, especially since they're so close. But after their season last year, I was like, I don't think they'll make it to Super Bowl.
Yeah, and which team do you think will win the Super Bowl next year?
I'd want it to be Jacksonville, and I honestly think they have a great chance. I mean, they're at the
Yeah.
top of the AFC South, and their record was 13-4. So, and they have an amazing kicker, Cam Little, who has the record for the furthest kick, 68 yards, which is
Wow,
insane. Yeah, I mean,
that's crazy.
it was like 68 yards indoors, and then he did 67 outdoors.
I can't imagine that in my mind.
I mean, when you see it on TV, it's like that is crazy far. And I mean, he looks like small. Like I'm not trying to, like he
Yeah,
looks small. So it's
you wouldn't
like
think
that's
he'd
crazy.
have that much power in his kick.
No, it's insane. So that's kind of the reason why they're up there with their
Yeah.
kicker.
Yeah. That's all we have time for today. Hayley, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your NFL expertise. We've definitely got a very clear picture of the Super Bowl and NFL as a whole, the key performances, and what to watch for next season. Personally, I'm very excited to see when the new season rolls around because this podcast has, yeah, it's given me lots of new information. I'm really excited to watch the NFL next season. For anyone listening, if you want to see those handmade bookmarks we talked about, buy a Q&A ticket or read our incredible articles, head over to our website at therookiereporters.com and also make sure you're following us on all of our socials at The Rookie Reporters so you do not miss a thing. I'm your host, Annie Michelle. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rookie Reporters pod and don't forget to hit follow so you never ever miss an episode and we will see you all next time. Bye!
Bye.